Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 action science fiction film The Intergalactic Adventures of Max Cloud, a film that is co-written and directed by Martin Owen, and it stars Scott Adkins. We also have John Hannah, Lashana Lynch, Elliot James Landridge, as well as Tommy Flanagan. Now, this film is a cross between Jumanji and Tron, and I mean the Jumanji films that Dwayne Johnson's in. It's essentially a story about a teenager that gets sucked into a video game, and it's set in the late 80s, early 90s, I presume, judging by the posters on the walls and things like that, and the style of the video game. It's like a side-scrolling beat-em-up type game. And she gets sucked into this video game, and she's part of the cast of this Max Cloud game. Now, Max Cloud is played by Scott Adkins, and he's a really overbearing, heroic figure who's legendary in the galaxy, and he's basically essentially she has to get to the end of the game in order to get out alive, and her friend has to play her. So he has to play her character in the video game in order to survive and get her to the end of the game. But we watch the events unfold in the game from Max Cloud's perspective and the other characters. So that's the best way to describe the I nearly said game then, the film. What are my thoughts on Max Cloud? Well, this is a bit of an odd one. This film. There are times when the film is cringeworthingly bad, but it's meant to be. It's very self-aware. It's got a very distinct tongue-in-cheek charm about it. It knows what it is, but it still doesn't change the fact that at times it's really bad, this film. The performances here, I mean, again, Scott Adkins' character, the Max Cloud character, is really overbearing, you know, and he overacts in it because that's what he's supposed to do, but his overacting comes across as bad acting. But that's the character he's playing, if you like, and it's the same with all the others in the film. John Hannah, who plays Revenger, who is the main villain in the video game, is unbearingly bad, and he's just dreadfully unfunny. There's this comedy in this movie that runs all the way through the film, and it needs it. And some of it is quite light-hearted fun, and that's they should have stuck with that. The John Hannah character, Revenger, was just awful. I mean, awful. There was nothing to enjoy in that character or his performance, and John Hannah tries his best with it. He gives a very pantomime performance. Really over the top, but it's just awful. It's an awful character who's dreadfully unfunny. It cuts to him sometimes in season. He's doing like aerobics and things like that. It's just, who came up with these quirky things for these characters to have as part of their personalities? For example, there's a break in the film, and Max Cloud shares with one of the characters that he's always dreamed of being a pastry chef, and they even show a clip of him as a boy making pastries with his mum, and how he would love to work in the canteen making pastries all day, but he can't because he's Max Cloud and he's his hero. And you're just thinking, who thought of that? Someone must have thought that was funny, but it was just, you know, you could see the tumbleweed going across the screen. It was so unfunny. When this film tries to be purposely funny, it fails miserably. When it leans on its strengths, which is this tongue-in-cheek, cheesy, over-the-top, self-aware video game action film, if you like, there's elements here to enjoy. And the first 20-25 minutes or so, half an hour of this film, I was like, what am I watching here? And then once you got used to what you were watching, and you got used to the film and the idea behind it, I found myself relaxing a bit more into the film and accepting it for what it was and enjoying it far more. Because yes, the sets are cheap, but they're meant to be cheap. It's like it's a video game. I like the fact that some of the characters in the video games, they would take on the traits of NPCs, non-playable characters in video games. For example, when a character wasn't being controlled, you'd see them walking into walls and things, and the actors would be doing that. There's examples of these bosses in the game with terrible AI that you could just outwit just by walking round, and you just walk back and forth, and when you lose a sight of this villain, he can't see where you are, so the AI would kick in, he'd walk back and forth. And so it tapped into that side of video games quite well. The action when you in the film is what you would expect. You know, Scott Adkins is doing his martial arts. Tommy Flanagan plays like this space pirate. He's shooting the bad guys, and you've got these two sidekicks who are essentially people who've got stuck in the game. These sidekicks doing their bit, and it's light-hearted fun. This film, but I couldn't quite decide if it was really bad or bad in a good way. This film, it's a really odd one. I'm not really quite sure whether I enjoyed it or not. I can completely understand someone watching this film and thinking, what is that? What a load of old rubbish. But I think at the very core of it is a good idea, and some of that does translate onto the screen, these good ideas, but much of it gets lost in these weird things they put in the film, and some weird characters, and some really over-the-top acting that didn't fit even in a film like this. So I was torn between a 5 and a 6, so I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10. The effects are actually quite decent for what it is. Yes, it's cheesy, yes, it's over the top, it's really colourful, it feels quite nostalgic. I actually quite like the look of the video game, that looked pretty cool. So yeah, that's my review for the Intergalactic Adventures of Max Cloud. A bit of an odd one, but not a bad one. At the very core, I don't really think it's a bad film, but I can understand someone watching this and really disliking it too at the same time. So yeah, bit of an odd one, but there you go. Check it out if you're a fan of Scott Adkins, and if you're a fan of light-hearted science fiction as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget, I will be back on Screen Stars with more content very soon.